Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today, huge update on the Ecto-1 projects here. You guys can see I have a lot of interior stuff going on, so we're going to go over some of that today, and then I'll try to walk you through my process of kind of getting the doors to work. Somebody asked about that, so we can totally go into that and try to explain that a little bit better for you guys and show you what I did. But first, now both of these cars are exactly the same, so I'm just gonna show you one. Kind of show you some of the cool stuff we got going on in here. So I basically took some time, worked from some pictures of the real car, and then also a highly detailed model version of the car that had some better interior shots. But I did have interior shots of the actual car, and did my best to work off of as much of those as possible. Now, of course, it's Lego, so it's not going to be 100% perfect, and you know, I could only do some things certain ways, and other things I kind of thought looked a little bit better a certain way. But you guys can see I have kind of a lot of the electrical panels and instrumentation in the back. That was really fun to go through and do all that. The RTV unit, kind of used some colors that I don't normally use, and tried to replicate the stuff as best I could, with a combination of brick build techniques and printed tiles for some of the electronics and everything going on there. And I love how this stuff came out. It looks so cool. You know, the actual Lego set itself doesn't really have you build prototype specific looking stuff. So I basically just went off of pictures of the real stuff, and within the confines of Lego did the best I could to replicate some of it. And, you know, it might not be 100% perfect, but I'm really happy with how everything came out. It looks awesome, especially with the mix of colors in there. The various printed tiles, I kind of... Oh, that's not focusing. I kind of went through all my different printed tiles and tried to see where things might work the best, and kind of went through my color palette and picked a few things out. Like the blues, the tans, the green, all that was really cool. You guys will notice quite a few differences from the last update. The floor is a little different now, specifically in the gunner seat area, and then where the remote control ghost trap car sits. Now, of course, I'm building these more for detail than I am playability, so like I've said before, along with adding a lot of this detail and making certain things work, I lose playability, which is fine with me. But it's up to you what, you know, if you kind of want to follow what I'm doing here, some things do have to be sacrificed. Namely, the whole door mechanism for the seat. There's no more way to push a button on here and get the gunner seat to pop out. And this piece here doesn't slide in and out to function the trapdoor for the remote control car anymore. That's there just for looks. The last video, I can't remember how far along I was on this, but this is the second variation. My other one was the same gray color, a little bit longer. I ended up just going with a 4x4 perfect square for the trapdoor area, sinking it enough. I had a lot of depth, which was really nice because I built the floor all the way up to this bottom line here. The floor doesn't go any higher than this back line, so that way the flow is nice. And then I tried to find kind of a rusty color, because in the pictures this is kind of a rusty colored area, but myself, I didn't have the parts that I really wanted to do that with. in the color that I wanted to do it with, so I just opted for doing it in the lighter gray. So that works nice. I'm okay with that. It's a nice contrast with dark gray. You can actually see the area. It stands out. That's basically all I needed. The instrumentation that I built, like I said, I worked off of pictures of the real stuff that he had in the car, and did my best to not only make it look close, but to fit it in this area. I'm working with significantly less space than what they had in the real car. Mostly because of these portions right here for the mock. These help hold the windows in place. And then you can see on the one side it also houses the hinging for the rear door. So right there I lose a 2x3 place. But that's fine. I still had plenty of room, and I was able to get each piece of instrumentation in there. Like this was its own individual unit. This is its own individual unit, and then this is its own unit. And then same thing with the other side. There's only 2 units on that other side, the blue one and the tan one with a couple screens on it. So I feel like I did pretty good maximizing my space. I did have to change a few things in the wheel well area here. This down in here, you guys can kind of see that little bulge. That was actually originally a 1x4 with these 1x2 slope pieces, and then of course on the bottom it's 6 studs long. The top, or no, 8 studs long. Top was 6 studs long. I did have to shorten that and basically take the 1x4 brick down to a 1x3, and then completely remove one of the slope pieces, and then just use a 1x4 tile to cover that up. That actually worked out really well. That gave me the distance in between the jump seat of the on the driver's side of the car, and it gave me a little distance in between those like there is in the real car. And that also allowed for a nice spot for these actuating levers for. It has been a while since I saw the movie, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure these were, I can't remember if they were for the trapdoor or the seat, or they might have been one for one and one for the other. I can't remember, but it is a detail that's in the car that I included. The jump seats are still built per Linz's mock, and I can show you guys on the screen here. Nothing changed with those. Of course, some of how I connected it on the base has changed. We're only connecting on the back side, which I believe that's how it was on the Mach 2. And then the front parts just kind of float over some tiles. Let's see. So the doors were a challenge. I don't know what was a bigger challenge, the gunner's seat or the doors. But both have a very hand-in-hand relationship. And a lot of things had to work for me to get this to work. I had to make some, not really compromises, because I did get everything that I wanted, but just some struggles along the way of trying to get things to fit. The gunner seat, I did have to modify that to get all the detail on the door. I'll see if I can kind of show you guys some of that stuff. But that was some modification on that. Of course, you guys saw I completely modified the whole slide out section of that. So we'll start on the driver's side passenger door. So this door is built 100% per Linz's mock. Literally no changes, all the same details. Nothing different in the pillar here. Everything is still hinged the same. Everything still connects the same. Really, the only thing in this general area that I changed was the coloration and some of the designing of the back wall behind the seat. Directly behind the seat, I went with a light gray black back wall instead of a black back wall because looking through some of the pictures of the real car and some of the models that I had seen, it seemed to be kind of a lighter gray colored back wall. And then of course where the original jump seat attaches, like in the regular version that I have down here, that I tiled off and kept it inset, and that allowed for enough room for all the detail that's on the back of the gunner seat. So all that kind of went hand in hand. No real issues there. My biggest concerns were the spring piston for the seat. You guys can see that pokes out, and then you guys can also see the basically the whole slide that sits on. That's that whole dark gray piece right there. So no longer do we have that whole push button that kind of ate up this whole area. This whole area was eaten up by the entire mechanism. I was able to regain a lot of attachment points for building the wall and attaching the RTV and all that stuff, while allowing everything to slide properly. Originally, I was a whole plate up above and then tiling, and I didn't like how high up the floor was, so I kind of had to find a way to lower that as much as possible. So I'm literally, you guys can see where the spring piston sits, or the spring actuator, whatever you want to call it. The tile is attached on one side, and it actually floats over for 2 studs. And that kind of helps create that cavity. I do have more retaining to hold that slide piece in place, which is actually hidden underneath there. And I can show you guys in the Lego instructions. I don't really want to tear all this apart, but I'll try to explain it the best I can of some of the changes that I made here. As far as the back pillar here, this is all built 100% per the mock. My only changes were to the floor on the inside. Everything externally is exactly the same per Linz's mock, and I am, like I've said before, I am utilizing the mock of this particular version, not the Ecto-1A, but I am working off of the mock for just the normal Ecto-1. So all of my outside is still the same. The doors, like I said, literally nothing changed on this door. A lot changed on that door, and we'll talk about that. We'll swing over to the other side. I'm just going to hinge that all the way open. So I'll see if I can get some things moved around here so I can show you guys. And I should have had these pages pulled up. So already in this area, this is where I had to start paying a lot of attention to, and kind of taking into consideration where things were going to end up. Since I didn't, this was kind of a really hard area because I had to build both the Lego version and the mock version and kind of intertwine them and figure out ways to make things work. And going into it, I was a little nervous. I was like, I really don't know if I can make it work. But once I got into it, I was like, hey, this is super easy. Super easy. See if we can get to that point. So just from the Lego instructions, I mean, you guys can see the vast change from the interior. There's the Lego built RTV, your solid door, which no longer has function, and that, to me right there, that looks a million times better. It looks more detailed. We have the function of the door. I love this. That compared to that, night and day difference. Huge difference. So big changes with a lot of really awesome stuff. Yeah, so the gunner seat was like built to be kind of help the slide mechanism of that. You can see all that's not a thing anymore, clearly, because this isn't a thing anymore. It still is, but it's just more detailed, more compact, and not able to function. Okay, so here's getting into some of the doors. I'll see if I can find... Alright. So, here you guys can see kind of how the door was built. The very end of the door went to that very last slope tile. Now, it kind of does and kind of doesn't. Well, it doesn't. Basically, it's the pillar is now your single stud wide right at the bottom of that tile. So all that's lined up. Just for reference, that modified plate with the stud on the side, that's that one right there. A little hard to see because it is in black. But you guys can kind of see what they did here was they stole, or not really stole, it was their original design. They utilized 2 studs wide, and then in that they're having this door meet all the way up against where the front door would be. Now, what I did literally was just slide this whole thing back 1 stud, and then that got me to where I have the front and rear pillars, and then now this door no longer closes right on that. Yes, it is. This is actually a little bit more prototypical for the actual car, because the doors do meet and the pillar would sit behind where the doors would meet, but in Lego it's kind of hard to do all that and still make things function. And I like how Lynn's on his or hers mock achieved the closing of the doors. They close really tight by utilizing these pillars. So that I just integrated that like normal. Everything for this pillar minus the hinges is exactly the same per the mock. And I'm going to try to get... I think I have to scroll down a little ways, but I'll see if I can locate that for you guys. A lot of this is some of the instrumentation that I did not do. I did have to skip way ahead because it kind of wanted you to do inside stuff, like the whole front dash and all that. I kind of had to get the stuff I didn't know if I was going to be able to do. I had to get that stuff done first. So we'll come back to that. So, see if I can find... See what door this is. Okay, so that was for that door, so literally nothing changed with that. Per the mock, it didn't change. Lego's instructions changed a lot. So here's the other side door. I'll get to... So you guys can kind of see the construction of the support area right there and where the hinge sits. Basically, I built this whole corner the same. I literally just took the hinges out and replaced them with 1x2 plates, because that's literally all that connects in there. And what I ended up doing was I built this door per Lego instructions using the color palette from the mock, and then I built this door per the mock. So I had 2 examples of the Lego one and the mock one, and that allowed me to see, okay, where I'm attaching over here, where I'm detaching over here. And that really helped me out a lot to build both versions of the door, because literally all I had to do was I kept this is actually the door that I built per the Lego instructions. only with some mock adjustments, of course, like on the inside. But connection points were all the same. I didn't change anything of the overall structure. You guys can still see I'm using that that kind of like slope, curvy modified brick that helps it close up against that solid surface right there. The only interference thing that I have right here is the window sticks out a little bit, and it has to, you kind of have to pull the door up just ever so slightly, and that piece kind of rides on top of that 1x1 tile. Not a big deal, and it actually helps hold the door closed. But like I said, not a huge deal at all. It's not affecting anything. One thing I did have to modify on the door interior is I could not have this slope piece anymore on this side, because this space here has to clear this pillar. And I found that when I originally put this together that was an interference fit. Well, I thought I was going to be clever and scooch this whole mechanism back, or not mechanism, the whole door interior, since that's a click-in piece. I thought I could just move that back one stud. And the way I did that was by taking these, sorry guys, try to show you better, these 1x1 bricks and this gate, this railing piece, and I flip-flopped those, and that allowed me to click that in a whole spot back, and then I could have the slope piece on this side, and it would clear this. And I thought I was cool. And it wasn't till a little bit later on, when I was kind of looking at the door closed, that it caused a huge issue with the mock part of the instructions here. So the issue that it was causing was this whole piece was one more stud back. Now you see right here I have a bare stud with nothing on it. That is actually becomes part of the like window and support network in here. There's a couple pieces that get built and put onto that, and I can actually show you on the original build here. So that pillar right there, center screen, that's right behind where this door closes. That's where that attaches. Now you see, by having those windows back in that area, I had no room to put that. So then I was like, well, shoot. I ran into an issue there where I couldn't have the windows back that far, or I was going to have to completely figure out something brand new for that, and I didn't want to do that. I want to try to follow the mock as close as I can, minus all of my changes. But so I had to scooch that back forward, and then I kind of, in that time frame, I forgot about my interference fit up here with that slope piece. And I'll see if I can show you guys. So you guys can see how close that is. That slope piece does not clear that slope right there, sadly. It's close, but it doesn't clear. And to clear it, you really have to jack up the door to the point where you're like destroying the door. So I ended up just going with a I don't know if it's a 1x3. I think it's like a 1x3. It's a one stud by 3 bricks tall black piece there. You guys can see it. So that's what I kind of had to put in there to fill in the door and help support the windows a little bit better. So that was kind of a rough deal there, trying to mess around with all that. And you guys can see I ran into a lot of issues. But literally, we'll go back to the mock instructions here. Kind of got off topic there, but it's stuff that I had to show you. So like all this bottom network here, all that connects right there. So literally this is all built exactly the same. I do have another modification, I'll talk about that later. But all this is built exactly the same, just minus these hinges. So that really wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad at all. And you guys can see it. It's exactly per the mock, just minus the hinges, and that allows the door not to be there. So that was super easy. And then I just kind of had to figure out, I did have to do some changing in here, and I can show you, and you guys can kind of see on the screen here. This side and that other side are supposed to be mirror images. Now, of course, they're not mirror images anymore because I have the hinges over here. Now, luckily, everything worked out, and I did have to move one of these hinges up a little bit, or down, I can't remember. I think it was this one up. But spacing and everything is exactly the same. This stud right here falls at the exact same place as this one does right here. Sorry guys, that's kind of not clear. But you guys can see that stud there, same exact height as that stud. So I know the rest of the build is going to be fine. Nothing's going to be hindered in any way. I made the room for those pillars to go there, so none of that's in the way anymore. None of that's an issue, and the door works. So it really wasn't too bad. Like I said, it was not scary, but I was nervous going into it because I was like, damn, I don't know if I can actually make this work, just because I don't know how far off Lynn's mock instructions were compared to the Lego instructions. So I was really worried about that, but it ended up being super easy. Hopefully I kind of explained that pretty good. Like if you use the mock from Rebrickable and you just make these few changes, build the door per Lego's instructions, but use the color palette for the mock if you want, if you're into that. I am. So I stayed really color palette the whole time building that door. But I actually built the mock door first, and then I built this door so I could see what colors I'm changing on this door as I'm building it. And it went well. It went really well, other than, some issues here. And there was some more issues here. We're going to get into that. But the overall function of the door, minus the interior, everything was super nice. And it'll sit a little bit nicer once everything's together. Of course, the car is still kind of janky right now because it's very undone. But Jesus, I can't talk today. Fitment-wise, it's just as good as the mock. So it's really nice stuff. The doors, they're, it's Lego. It's not going to be 100% perfect, but it's pretty close. It's nice. It's really nice. And these doors shut way better than they do on the Lego version. Because I did, when I first got the very first set, I did build it per Lego instructions down to a T. And then I started modifying from there. So I know that this is pretty solid stuff. Okay, so my next bit of issues was before I had even done these doors, which was kind of, I should have kind of done the doors first, but it was kind of hard because I did need a lot of like substructure in here, was the seat. So I've already kind of talked to you guys about the seat. You guys can actually see the path of the seat right here and the color change in the tile. We'll actually back up in the instructions and get to where we're building the seat and all that. And I can show you guys exactly all what we got rid of and what we changed. And we'll go right back to here. So, this was original. We did away with this Technic piece, which allowed me to do the seats per the mock. I did the seat completely per the mock. It gave me the room. We got rid of this red piece that's hanging back there. I should Get back far enough where you guys can see that, so you know what I'm talking about. So of course the tiling work is completely different. I'm only tiled like right in this area right here. Like from this stud and 2 over, that's where I'm tiled now, and that's it for the tiling. So no more this, no more that. Of course all this has changed per the mock, but got rid of all that stuff. Completely did away with this piece because that took up a lot of room. And I'll try to talk through what I did on this. So this is the slide support, and I actually did use this design for the slide support to keep it locked in place. But I doubled it up and I moved it over to the middle. So literally in between here and here, I built 2 of these, connected them together, and put it square in the middle. I'm still utilizing this modified brick function, only I'm doing a 1x2 of this and a 1x1 of this to allow my door to slide out a little bit, because I was having issues where I didn't have the door sliding out far enough, or the seat. I want to get to the seat because the seat was different. So this is still in the same position, just everything forward of it is different. So I'm only utilizing 3, in front of this modified brick right here, I'm only utilizing 3 studs wide, full length of tile. The rest is all studs that I was able to build upon. This part I changed quite a bit, and I'll slide it out here so that way you guys can kind of see. So that's my max slide out. We did keep the little 1x1 brick cylinder detail in there. Cat hair down there. The spring piston is still, or the spring cylinder is still in the same spot. My width, I'll try to show you. You guys can see I'm 1 brick wide. I have tile, or no, I'm actually, that's 1 by however long plate, and then another plate, and then a tile. So I'm like 1 plate less than this. So from the end of this, what is that? It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So the 1x12, that's my length. That's still my length. The only difference is I no longer have this modified slope brick here. It's just a, I believe I just used a 1x1. Or no, I actually took that right down to the Technic piece. So we're actually 1 less than that. We're like 11 long on that. And then, so I'm only 11 long on the bottom. So literally from that point to that point, we got rid of that whole piece right there. So we shortened it up by, two studs. And I trapped it all together with 1x1 plate on the bottom, or 1 by plate on the bottom and 1 by plate on the top. I did have to use a couple plates to make up for that odd number, and then tile straight on top of that. So I'm thinner, and you guys can see I used more of those 1x1 brick modifieds. Basically, I'll zoom back out here. So I have a total of 4 of these. I think it's 4, yeah. 4 of these spanning the whole length of this to help keep this whole thing trapped. And it's trapped really well. Like, you guys can see there's not a lot of play. It wants to move the car. So it's nice and tight. Flip the seat back around. See if I can kind of zoom in. So we're still that modified brick right there with the tile up against tile. Right there. So you guys can kind of get a feel for how I did that. It's honestly not that complicated. It's 100 times simpler now than what it was. I could not tile in this area because that's actually that becomes an interference fit with where the cylinder attaches to the bottom of the seat right there. You guys can see that overhang, and when I slide that in, that's all the way in. And you guys can kind of see what I did there. So I couldn't run the tile that way because you guys, it's black and dark, sorry, but you guys can kind of tell where that's an interference fit and it would actually run into the tile. So I got a couple studs that are showing there, not bad. You guys can actually see like the whole area there where that slides through. And then how it actually protrudes through. So that leads me into being able to fit this detailing on the door. And we'll kind of get to the seat. Of course, you know, we don't have this whole piece anymore. That's what was actually part of the door. We did away with all that. Did opt for the black colored spring cylinder, because that looks way better than a big old shiny gold one. So, you know, literally all that doesn't exist. And then this one part just exists in a different capacity. The seat, here we go. So there's kind of the thickness of the seat. I had to limit this by 1 plate. And you guys can see how right here they're using 2 of those modified plates that hang over you can attach. I did away with one of those, used 2 L-shaped tiles right here to build up that area, and then used 2 1x3 tiles to just go 2 high instead of your 3 high brick. Oops, put that in the right spot. And then on top of that, so since I was already sitting below what the length of the seat was, the 1x4 there, or the 4 studs long, it actually worked really well to add some of this detailing here. That the real seat actually has kind of that mesh on it. So that's what I kind of went for there as far as like detailing, was kind of adding in that mesh. And I had to do that, and I also had to change. So you guys can see there's actually there's actually a little slit right there where another modified plate should be, where I don't have it. So I'm only holding on one side. And then I had to have this whole slide section here. You guys can kind of see where it sits. It goes all the way up against this. And when I did that, I was concerned about this sticking out, because I didn't know if that was going to interfere with this door detail. Well, luckily that sits below the door detail, so that doesn't bother anything. But on this side, I had to suck in the seat as much as I could. I needed this seat to be in as far as I could, and that much thinner to clear. And you guys can kind of see I'm like a very odd amount in, and the seat does have a little bit of play in it, which helps. Because I was running into issues where I actually, for a little bit, completely took out the the window roll-up handle. I had to take that out because it was interfering with the seat. Now, as it sits right now, all this stuff is right tight up against the seat, but the door still closes really good, and I'll show you just how much of a struggle this was. This was a struggle to get everything to fit. A lot of modifying of the seat, a lot of modifying to get everything over as far as possible, modifying of the door that I didn't want to do because I wanted the detail back on. So this is where I kind of had to make a compromise. Was I had to lose some structural integrity of the seat to get it a little bit thinner. And I'll show you. So as it stands completely closed, you guys can see my fitment there. The stud on that handle is right in front of that seat back, and the flat on that is right up against the seat back. The tile detailing on that door is right up against the seat. So you guys can see why it had to be that way. The door closes just fine. You guys can see that. Door's nice and closed. But everything is right at that seat. And you guys can see there's some play in that seat, which also helps. And it, like I said, guys, that was a struggle because I did not want to lose door detail. I wanted it to close and fit nice. So there was a lot of modifying and getting all this over as far as I could without making it look goofy. The gunner seat is actually still out. If you look at the lines on the floor there, the gunner seat still sits out closer towards the door than the jump seat does. And then basically I was lucky enough to have just the proper amount of room and clearance. You guys can see like where the gun is on the seat itself, that sits right above that tile, so it clears the floor. So that's another reason why the floor had to be down as far as I possibly could have it. So it was it was a lot of work, guys. A lot of, well, that doesn't fit, so I got to lower this, I got to compact this, I got to change this, I got to do this to get this, and this fixed. So it was a huge amount of work. I had this whole area completely disassembled at least 10 or more times, making adjustments and changes. So yeah, it was a lot of work. The floor over here, I had originally just a little cavity right here that was per mock low, but looking at pictures and what the Lego version doesn't portray is the actual function of this door is actually more hidden underneath this area, and that's why there's like a grate floor over this to kind of cover that area but allow all that stuff to move on the real car. So I ended up raising the floor up on this side. Used a channel piece in here just to kind of give some more detail. It's one of those channels where like a track would slide on. So I kind of put that in there just for some more visual detail in that area. And then added these grate pieces, these little 1x2 tile grates. And that kind of gave the floor, I had to make sure that this was lower than the rest of the floor. I wish I could have had it one more spot lower, but I actually start to interfere with some of the support network underneath here. So like I said, guys, it's a lot of give and take. Some things I could do, some things I kind of had to modify to work a little bit better. But at the end of the day, it looks awesome. I love how the interior came out. It was a lot of work, a lot of changes, a lot of assembly and disassembly and reassembling and disassembling again. And you guys can also see the fitment with the RTV. I got really lucky that the window handle cleared that. You guys can see it's a pretty tight fit, but it clears it just fine. So really no issues there at all. The tile detailing behind the seat clears, it actually sits right up against the back of that gunner's seat. So all that, I got really lucky on some of this stuff, guys. Some of this stuff was just flat out coincidence and pure luck that it worked. So a little bit of luck in there. Not all my brain. Some of it was just sheer luck that things fit. Some of it I had to make it fit. We'll talk more about the seat. Specifically the back. I did make some changes to the back. Not many. This modified plate right here, I can actually see if I can find one of those. If I have any in here. Don't know if I do. There's one. So that piece right there on the Lego build, that was actually get my phone to focus here. Can I get close and it'll focus? So that was actually right in that spot, so I moved that over and kind of added another little tile piece in there and kind of cleaned that up a bit. And then my cord for the gun itself had to change because that was a fitment issue. So they have you using these whips, and if you guys remember from the Proton packs for these two cars, that I did the same modification because those whips suck. They don't bend, they're thick, they don't have hardly any give in them, and they just sit too tight. So I ended up using the braided cord, which is really nice. It's flexible. You can run it down in between things, and that's what I ended up doing. Was I actually ran it down underneath these handlebar details on there, ran it down, and then ran it up to the gun. Added that tile there. There was something else. Yeah, they had like a square slope, a 1x1 tile square slope. I didn't like how that looked, so I kind of used like this half circle 1x1 tile. I thought that looked a little bit better. It fit better too. But yeah, those braided cords, I love those. Those were a huge save on all of the Ecto builds already. So even on these ones, these two cars, it really saved me a lot. Here you guys can see more of that fitment of where I'm literally right under the tile. So I built to my max building limits and maxed out the amount of floor height that I could have. So it was a lot of trial and error, as you guys can tell. The seat sides, I tried to do them in dark gray on both sides. I can only go so far because this I don't have a dark gray modified tile. But you guys can see I don't have like the trigger post that used to be on the front of the seat. This right here, I'm just using the middle hole and the back hole. The back hole of the seat is where that spring cylinder sits, and the middle is where it pivots. So it's nice that I was able to I wanted to keep that spring cylinder because it does such a nice job at locking the seat forward and back. And it turns nice, it locks it into place. Even without all that other stuff, it locks it into place really nice. I could have made my life a whole lot easier and completely did away with that and just used a what is it? Let's see if I can find one here. Like a gripped, like one of these grip Technic pins, the pins that actually like grip in place. I could have easily just used one of these. Or actually it would have been, with that being a hole to hole, I could have just used one of these and not had to try to build per this, but I wanted to keep that because it's a nice function of the seat. it springs it, it locks it into place. I don't have to worry about the seat getting off position at all. So that was one thing I was pretty I really wanted to keep. I wanted to keep it. Now, like I said, you can make your life a hell of a lot easier and just not use that piece. If you just want to use a black Technic pin and just be able to, you know, roll the seat without it locking. I just wanted the locking mechanism because I thought it was cool, and I spent the money on these damn things. These aren't cheap, and I bought like 4 of them, 2 extras, so I was going to use them. But it ended up working really nice. You guys can see all that slides in there really nice. The seat tucks in there really good. I have nice clearance in that back wall of the front seats. You guys can actually see the clearance, and that braided cord just sits in there really nice. It does what it's told. It's not like the whips that don't like to do anything. So that's pretty much the scope of what I had to do to get this, and I had to do it twice. So you know, little building over here, I'd figure out something, and then I'd come back to this car and make the same changes, and then I'd figure out something else and make another change, and then I'd come back to this car and make that change, and might have to take apart a few things to make the changes that I made over here. So it was a lot of back and forth. I wouldn't say it was stressful, it just at times slightly overwhelming. Especially when the interior, the doors, and just figuring out the doors. Some of that stuff really took some thinking on how I could get it to fit and work and do everything I wanted to. And I wasn't going to settle. I told myself, I'm building these. You know, they're apart. I'm building them up to a certain point. If I don't like something, I'm going to take it apart however far down I need to and make those changes. So that was, I really kind of was strict with myself on that. I'm like, this is our chance. This is like my own mock. Basically, the whole interior of this car on the back is basically my own mock. I do have the tubes on the back of these. I kind of seen that was a thing in the real car, and my height is actually adjustable on those, so got that little detail in there. I went as detailed as I could with these electrical components in the back and all this equipment. I went as detailed as I could, crammed it as much as I could in there. I wanted these to be cool. I wanted these to be unique. I haven't seen anyone on Facebook, Rebrickable, what else? Beyond the Brick. I haven't seen anyone do these cars in this much detail in the back. So I had nothing to work off of, and it was really fun kind of being the pioneer of this, and I really hope these videos help people that want to do a more detailed version, because it is possible. I figured out all the hard stuff. I tried to explain it the best I could. And by all means, if you have questions and you want to know more, contact me in the comments. I'll get a hold of you through Facebook, and we'll go from there. I want to help people because this was a pain in the ass, but it's so awesome, guys. It really is an awesome car. The detail in here is just so much nicer, so much better. Like I said, if you're not worried about the playability and you want the more detailed version and you don't care if you can drop the RC car and all that stuff, this is what you want to go for. Something else I'm going to have to figure out is the RC car. So this is the original wheelbase, the wheels and everything. And you guys can see that doesn't even clear my instruments anymore. So I'm going to have to redesign a smaller RC car to fit in this area. Which isn't terrible because if you guys remember, I did the same thing with the ghost traps in the 1 and 1A, I kind of rebuilt those my own and kind of made them smaller and figured some stuff out there to make them more prototypical. So that's exactly what we're going to do with the RC car on this one. We're going to make it a little bit smaller. We're going to make it a little bit more prototypical. And, you know, it's going to be easy compared to all this stuff. This was the hard stuff. The hard stuff's done now. That's what's putting me in a good mood, is that this is the hard part. Figuring out the doors, figuring out the floor, figuring out the seat, figuring out all this instrumentation, where this was going to be. Trying to pre-plan this hole wasn't, it was kind of hard because I wasn't too sure how the whole floor network was going to be. So that was kind of a crapshoot. That, you know, I could somewhat guess where it was going to be, but like 100% for sure, it was hard. So I got really lucky on my guessing and my planning for that, and that's right where I want it to be. That's basically in the prototypical spot for it, where it sits with the instruments. It might not be quite as far back, but like I said, all this stuff isn't as far back, so the whole thing's kind of micro managed in there now. And yeah, now we're just building the mock. Now we're just going off of the mock. All the hard stuff's done. I'm going to continue forward working on the front end of the car. We're going to do the dashes. We're going to do the engine. That's why I have this sitting here, because I made, and you guys might remember from the videos, I made a lot of little changes in the engine bay. And instead of spending a ton of time looking back at photos, I just have the car right here. I can look at it. I can be like, okay, I put a tile there. I changed that color. I did this. I did that. I modified these hoods too. So I'm going to have to pop the hood off when I go to build these hoods so I can have that modification. So it is nice to have 2 of these cars done where I can go back and reference stuff on them and not have to spend hours looking back through photos. And then, so the plan going forward is I'm going to get the dashes done. I'm going to get the engine bay done, get the engines all situated, get all that done. And then that's going to be our dividing point on where I'm going to stop building on one of these. And we're just going to concentrate on one. That's going to be our Afterlife Ecto. We're just going to go through, finish that out with whatever else I got to do. And then we'll come back and do the Frozen Empire version, which is going to be really easy. So, like I said, guys, I'm super excited. I'm really happy now. I'm past all my uncertainties. I had a whole bunch of uncertainty going into this on what was possible, what I could fit, how hard it was going to be to interlace Lego's instructions and the mock, plus making my own changes to make everything work. And it really wasn't that bad. Like I said, there's a few things, the doors, the chair, I knew those were going to be hard. I knew I was going to run into a lot of take this apart, take that apart, change that doesn't work, try it again a different way. But right now, as it stands, the interior, the doors, this is all done, except for the exterior. The hard stuff is done. So I can just push forward, have an awesome build now. I can actually relax a little bit and just follow some instructions and not have to reinvent the wheel here. So that's it, guys. I mean, almost an hour-long video. I don't normally do those, but there was a lot going on here, and I really wanted to dive into it and kind of show you guys the mock instructions versus Lego's instructions, what changed, what I changed. Like especially here, so there's our base of the floor is basically right on top of these slope tiles. You guys can kind of see that area, and how poo-poo that was for what I wanted. And now we open the door, and it's awesome. We have a functioning door with detail that we can open. We have all this nice interior detail now that is colored really cool. It looks awesome. We have a nice floor. I mean, it's just so much better from anything. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this update. Sorry it was a long one, but I wanted to really dive into what it took to make some of these changes and some of the things that I ran into personally. So that way maybe if you guys want to kind of do the same thing, you can follow along, you can ask me, and I've explained some issues that I kind of worked through and how I was able to make stuff work. So it's 100% doable. When I started these projects, I wasn't sure if it was doable. Now I know 100% it's doable. Not even as hard as I thought it was going to be. I honestly thought making this door was going to be the hard part, but it was actually, the door itself was easy. The door itself was super easy. And just to kind of finish out, one cool thing is kind of getting that look of the doors opening at opposite sides. You got the standard opening door on this side, and then you got the suicide opening door on this side. Really cool. Gives you a really cool, and I got that nice pass through the whole car, so that's nice. It's awesome. I love it, guys. I love how it came out. Like I said, it's going to be easy street from now on. So basically my next only hard part is making the Afterlife Ecto look old, and I'm gonna have to kind of build up a lot of the body before I can start seeing if I can change anything, or if we're just gonna go the sticker route. I might throw in some color change. I segregated a lot of like this tan stuff I talked about, a lot of those tan pieces. I might try to integrate those in some areas to kind of show some discoloration of the car, but that's gonna be tough too. So, but as far as just like the figuring out if things can work, I love it. Got 2 successes right there. Really happy. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I am sorry it was long, but I wanted to really dive into some of this and help anybody out in the future. So like I said, reach out to me if you want to do this. I'm around. I might not get to you the first day. I might not even get to you the second or third day, but I will get to you. I will help you any way I can. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and until next time, take care.